welcome to everyone on the Construction Roadshow. As Catherine said, we've got a number of experts who are able to answer your chat if you want to. So please ask them anything during the presentation. So today's agenda is quite full. A quick introduction on the other stuff that NOCN is doing. We'll then look, Tracy will then take us through our construction regulator qualifications. I'll cover quickly functional skills and the changes that have happened there. Chris Carter-Rowlands will present around SITERIGHT, our short course offering, and then I'll provide some additional information as well that you might find useful. So as an introduction, yes, as I've said, please ask questions in the message facility. We've got experts who will answer them, both in quality assurance, apprenticeships, that sort of thing. I'd like to draw your attention to tomorrow's roadshow, which is around quality assurance. Please do ask your IQAs or anyone in your centre responsible for quality assurance to please attend that. It's at the same time, 10 o'clock tomorrow, with our EQA team. So moving on. First thing I want to mention is around the Trailblazer apprenticeships. NOCN is now approved for a very large number of standards, over 60, across a number of different sectors. And we've been successfully delivering EPAs now for over 5 years. We've got a huge number now in construction. And although I haven't added onto there the additional standards we are applying for, we always have a pipeline of standards that we'll be applying for in construction. It's very much an area where we want to support the industry. And you'll also see there another webinar next week with Lisa, who's actually on this call and can answer questions now around the construction endpoint assessment and also outside of the construction sector. So if you'd like to attend that next week, that would be great as well. So now, regulator qualifications, I'll hand over to Tracy.
Good morning. Thank you, Mark, for taking control of the slides as well. Even though, as I say, just a quick introduction, even though obviously, you know, things have been in lockdown and things have not been what we are used to, the developers have been very busy, obviously developing new MVQ regulated qualifications, which obviously just wanted to go through with you some of the new qualifications that we've just recently launched. So the first one, obviously, that has we've developed come live is the MVQ diploma in site inspection. So that was a brand new one. Qualifications got 3 different pathways. So construction, civil engineering and building services. So that's one brand new MVQ. Another training qualification that we developed is a level 3 advanced diploma in land drilling. Obviously this qualification is for experienced land drillers as well. So making sure that obviously there is a prerequisite to this qualification that somebody does have to have the level 2. We've also developed this with MP awards as well, so that you've now got a progression route from the level 2 onto the level 3. Another new one which has obviously gone live this year as well is the level 3 awards in energy efficiency measures for old and traditional buildings. So the qualification is vocationally based and enables people to recognise and understand the knowledge, skills and maintain associated with the installation and retrofit energy efficiency. So it fits in with a lot of the talks to do with sort of the energy efficiency market now. Another new sector which we've moved into now is obviously the MVQ occupational health and safety. So we have obviously launched the level 3 that went live earlier this year, with the level 5 and 6, which is due to go live at the end of this month. So you've obviously got a nice progression there as well. Level 5 certificate in certified solar photovoltaic practitioner. This guides learners through the theory for planning a system and leads them to the production of feasibility and associated drawings and proposals for the solar system. So again, that does have a prerequisite, so that somebody would need a level 5 to actually move on to this. We did actually develop this with an international organisation, so it's obviously being looked at and offered internationally, which is obviously another development as well. And then another qualification which we've actually been developed, which was in partnership with British Gypsum and has been supported by FIS as well. Obviously, there's a recognition that there's a lack of skills, particularly in plastering. So they wanted another qualification which would develop and support the skills of actually a skimmer. So it's looking at large rooms with the challenge of learners, building their confidence and skills in the ability to plaster large areas. So again, working with the industry to do a development. Thank you, Mark. Next slide. Updates and changes, which has also happened across obviously the summer as well. So this is just, all of these will be in the bulletins, but just to flag some of the obviously the changes that has happened over the summer. The diploma in specialist concrete occupations, so we've got unit changes, we've got increases in TQT, GLH. There's brand new pathways in there, so there's been a lot of changes that have happened in that particular MVQ. Next one. So obviously then the level 3 MVQ floor and wall, again unit changes, increases in GLH, so again the awareness of that one. And MVQ certificate in wall and floor with the level 2 as well, so you've got the unit changes and the increased GLH, so you've got changes to the 2 and the 3, making sure that obviously you've got that awareness as well. Then level 3 diploma in trowel occupations, lots of changes again have happened in this one. We've got unit changes, increases in GLH, and then the new unit, taking into consideration that also that you've got removed units as well, so looking out for those changes. And then last but not least, and then obviously the level 2, which is very similar to the level 3, you've got unit changes, increase in GLH, and also new units and removed units. So those have also been launched as well. Also over the summer, we've been working on some of the training qualifications, continuing to update the training qualifications that we launched August of this year. We've done previous webinars, we've talked about this, but again, this is adding to the resource material. So we've got improved tutor guidance there. So having a look at that tutor guidance. We've got the videos which actually suit the new training qualifications. So make sure support mechanism for the learners. And then, oh, next one, Mark. And then again, more support material, which has all been uploaded onto my NOCN. So you've got tutor guides for your entry level and your level 1. There are learner assessment booklets for entry level. We've got mock papers on there ready to prepare the learners for the MCT test, and some practical assignments. Learner assignment booklets and live practical papers, which the developers are working on at the moment as well. So all of those have been uploaded onto my NOCN. So anybody that has the approval to offer these new training qualifications, the resources are there for you to use with your learners. Next slide, please, Mark. And then another new project which we've developed over the summer, which is obviously a very, very new one for NOCN, is a purely online program called Pathways to Construction. It is purely online. There are 2 parts to this particular program. Part A, which is the SITERIGHT Health and Safety Awareness in Construction program, which again, as I said, can be delivered all online. You've got all your resources there, and it prepares all your learners for the CSCS test. That's, as I say, part 1. Part 2 is a short introduction and awareness courses. So they're like bite-sized awareness modules. 100% online learning. Again, as we said, all the activities, all of the assessments are online with bite-sized modules for and progress checking as well. There are 14 different little awareness modules, which we'll see a list of in a further slide. So, and on the next slide, I say, just so that you can actually see an example of the online delivery. So you've got your self-contained lessons included, you've got presentations on there, you've got videos, narrations, formative assessment. All of this will obviously be delivered to you online. Next slide, please. So this is an example of what you would see once you actually enrolled onto the program. So this is for your learners. So you can see lots of images, lots of interactions, actual, so you've got things like where they can do drag and drop into different boxes. So again, it's all about having that interaction with the learning as well and making it purely online. Next slide, please. And then this slide here, these are all a list of all the different modules, of which there are 14. So you can see that all obviously got working confined spaces, the COSH, electricity, electrical safety, fire safety, first aid, all of these bite-sized awareness modules. So, and then what they would do is, as each of your learners actually took one of these modules, passed one of these modules, because there's a little test at the end, they would get an individual certificate for each of those, which would obviously give them the title. So again, it's something that the learner can take away with them as well. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. So I'll now cover functional skills. I don't know whether you know or not, but legacy functional skills has been phased out by the Department of Education and replaced with reformed functional skills. So our legacy functional skills are being phased out in line with that. All learners must have been registered by the 31st of August 2019 in order to be on the legacy English and Maths functional skills. Otherwise, anything later than that would have been on the reformed functional skills, which are very different. I'll go into that in a second. So the last day for assessment was back in October, and the last certification date is going to be at the end of this year for legacy functional skills. Ofqual did allow us to extend that due to COVID. However, we've engaged with our functional skills centres, and they say that they've almost totally transferred over to reformed functional skills, and therefore we're keeping with our original deadline and closing that at the end of this year. Then looking at the ICT functional skills, this is being retained for some period, partly extended because of COVID. However, we expect Ofqual to be phasing that out in the summer of next year, when it will be replaced with the functional skills and digital. And we also are looking to develop essential digital skills as well. So we will have a couple of offerings to replace ICT functional skills next year. Reform functional skills, as I said, very different to traditional functional skills. There is a lot of changes to the qualification. Tutors need to ensure their teaching, covers the whole aspect of the new qualifications. Otherwise, individuals just won't be able to pass the tests, the assessments. A large number of subject matter changes, and essentially what Ofqual and Department of Education have wanted to do is make reform functional skills at a level 2 on a par with the GCSEs in those subjects. Maths, there are now non-calculator and calculator sections within the same assessment, so obviously that needs to be monitored, and there's pure maths and problem solving appearing in both sections, both the calculator and non-calculator. In English, we saw the introduction of the dictionary, the ability to use a dictionary in the reading exam only. And there is organisational features and language styles across the whole of the assessment in English. Invigilation of functional skills is very important, and that it's controlled correctly. So all learners must be registered before they take an assessment. The invigilator must have received training from the centre manager and must follow the NOCN rules and regulations around conducting the examination to ensure that the assessment materials are kept secure at all times. The exam coordinator can take ownership of the safe storage of all the assessment materials before, during and after the assessment, but but obviously during the assessment, the invigilator needs to be responsible as well. All assessments must be securely returned to the exam coordinator after the exam and then returned to NOCN. That includes blank scripts, blank assessments of any individuals who haven't turned up. We will still need the assessment materials returned to us. So now we'll go on to SITERIGHT and Chris Carter-Rowlands.
Thank you, Mark. Yes, I'd just like to talk through a little bit about our SITERIGHT programme. We've seen some quite significant growth in the volumes as well as the number of courses that we're now offering. So I'd just like to talk you through our offer today and how you can apply, etc. So next slide, please. Okay, so a little bit on why to use SITERIGHT. We identified a while back that we felt that there was perhaps some inconsistency in short course training across the UK, and we've seen some very good courses as well as some that perhaps aren't as thorough and as relevant to industry as we'd like. So one of the reasons to use SITERIGHT is it's key that we want to improve the quality of on-site training and reduce risks. I mean, it's all about health and safety, and it's about getting people home in one piece at the end of the day. So we wanted to introduce the courses that were standardised. It offers certified training for all staff, and they offer upskilling and refreshing. So there's a combination there. Some people will have some great experience on site, some will be very new. But the idea is that it's not just about the qualification that you get in your career, it's about the upskilling and ongoing CPD that goes around that. So we move it forward. All SITERIGHT courses, due to the content, are transferable. What we wanted to do was give you something that was consistent across all of our centres so that the content, the assessment, the presentations are all the same and identical no matter where you do them. And that gives you a high level of transferability. We know people move from job to job, from site to site, and it's important that what we do is reduce the costs and need for repeated training. As I said, with all of the SITERIGHT, we provide the content, and all of the course materials are free to yourselves as part of the package. So as you become approved to offer SITERIGHT courses, we'll ensure that you get all of those resources through our online platform, and you can download and use those, and they're all free to existing NOCN centres. We look at all of our courses on a regular basis. Every course needs a review period, and we're trying to look at these on an annual basis to make sure that we update the courses, make sure that the content is relevant to industry, reflects any current legislation or any changes to legislation or practices on site, and we'll continue to do that right throughout the lifetime. The idea of these courses is that there will be options for refreshers and chances to repeat the training to make sure that anything you do is up to date. Anything that your learners are picking up is what they will be doing on site, and the requirements of site are reflected in that. We build the courses in-house. We have obviously our construction qualification specialists, and that's the team that puts these courses together. But we do that in conjunction with our partners. If you'd like to move on, please, Mark. One of the keys is to make sure that we are working with the right people to develop these courses. We're working with manufacturers, leading contractors and leading experts to make sure that these courses are created and the content's put together by the people that know it best. If you look at the example of our cut-off saw course, that was developed in conjunction. Still, we've recently developed a new course with Leica that I'll come on to in a second around detection. And our lifting courses are all developed with the Lead AP group, which is a large group of construction employers and involves people like the HSE and major contractors to make sure that the courses are as relevant as possible for the learner and for the and for your employers that are going to take these courses on. Next slide, please. And obviously within these courses there is some site readiness and added value for apprentices. It's very key that the apprenticeship contains obviously the content that you need now to get them up to speed, but we're also aware that there is perhaps a lack of qualifications within these apprenticeships. What we've done is tried to develop some content and some courses will be relevant to apprentices to make sure that they're getting the skills they need to go on and be useful on site and enable them to pick up work. That's the main thing. Next slide. If you'd just like to click through until these appear, please, Mark. So currently, as I mentioned before, we've got the first of the SITERIGHT courses still available, and we're seeing significant growth in this. Castle course, or POS, was developed along with Still. It is very suitable for the brickwork apprenticeship. There is now a requirement of Gateway that people have the knowledge to actually use this type of equipment. The course has been put together, so it's really useful for existing users as well as new apprentices alike. Everybody that's been on this course seems to have learned something from it, so it kind of clears out bad habits as well as teaching best practice. As I mentioned, detection equipment training, that's brand new to us. We've developed that by Leica. Many would know it as Kat and Jenny. There is a trainer for this that's been developed with Leica. The great news is that whilst the trainer package is going to be £1,400, that includes a full set of Leica kit, which is worth about £1,700. So it's a heavily discounted package there for you to offer that Kat and Jenny training. And we like to think that it's put together a very good theory and practical set of training for learners. It's a one-day course. We've got working at height with harness fitting, so you've got the practicalities of actually fitting the harness to make sure that you're capable of doing that. As mentioned sort of previously as part of Pathways Construction, we've got two versions of our health and safety awareness course. We've got a one-day face-to-face, which obviously is accepted for the CSCS labourers card, and a blended learning version whereby you do the learning online, actually go into a centre or have an invigilated test, which can be proctored by us to make sure it meets the requirements of CSCS. You can then go and apply for a green card. We've got a one-day vehicle marshalling course, which is going really well. That's been developed by our plant team in-house, and we're really pleased with the results of that. It really does give a very useful way of making sure that people on site know what they're doing with vehicle marshalling. It's an alternative to the CPCS course, which is more full. We obviously now offer all of the Streetworks courses, which is great. I know it's something that people have been asking for a lot of years. And we have all of the courses that for the Streetworks cards. We include supervisor, we have reassessment, and all of those are available to existing and new centres so long as they meet the requirements. And we're seeing really significant demand for that amongst Streetworks, so it meets all those requirements. And we've got a couple of courses currently that are exclusive to Select Training, which were developed in conjunction with the Lead AP group in Laing O'Rourke. We've got an enhanced slinger signaller. Often it's recognised that, as with all training, what it does is it brings you up to a base standard that everybody needs. But what we're doing is providing additional training for different scenarios, such as tower cranes, etc. And that goes for the appointed person tower crane module, which provides additional training to those people that have already gained that CPCS card and have the qualifications. But what it does is it familiarises themselves with different types of equipment that they're unlikely to see as part of the training process. Next slide, please. Oh, sorry, and one final one. Nearly fell off the bottom. We have our fire door installation awareness course. That was developed in conjunction with the British Woodworking Federation. This course is really key. I think fire doors, cladding, we're all aware of what happened with Grenfell and the need for improvements across the industry. This course has been developed to ensure that both carpenters and operatives, as well as non construction staff, can get a really good understanding of the correct processes for installing fire doors and to make sure that they are done correctly on site to make places safer. It's really key. We think it could well form part of future apprenticeship requirements going forward, and it's going to be a really important course. I think you'll see lots of employers and potentially non-employers such as councils and housing associations start to mandate this. So I'd keep an eye out for that one. I think it's going to grow quite rapidly, and those of you that have the capability of delivering it should talk to us about that. There's two stages, and again, the British Woodworking Federation work with us on that to license all of the materials materials and make sure that the content is delivered consistently. The next slide, please. And coming soon, if you want to open these up for us. So we have a machine control for plant training course that we're developing along with Leica. This is on the back, the good work that we've done with the detection training. Lots and lots of plant is now being controlled by GPS machine control. And we know that there's going to be a large requirement for upskilling around this. So we're developing this with Leica. They're probably the leading manufacturer in this area. And we expect to have that course available soon. It will be required on lots and lots of different schemes. And we're looking at lifting awareness for managers. The idea behind this is for site managers who are not lead APs or crane supervisors or lifting experts. What it does is gives them an idea of what good practice looks like, as well as bad practice, to enable them to run their site more successfully and more safely, to make sure that they can spot themselves if there are any issues that are going on. And we've got an excavator lifting module being developed at the moment with the lead AP group and Emerson Plant. We know that excavators are being used for lifting. There are certain concerns around that from the HSE and from major projects. So this is designed to reassure them that people have got the right level of training if you're going to be using excavators to lift on site. We've got a mental health resilience course coming. This is an alternative to mental health first aid. In the construction sector, if you have to administer first aid, there's an argument to say that your procedures have failed in the first place. So what we're looking at doing is making sure that we're looking after people's mental health before they get to the requirements around first aid. These are extremely difficult and stressful times that we're living in, and this course will provide people with courses with the ability to recognise their stress triggers and also to reduce those. And I can see some serious demand for that with what's happening in the world at the moment. And we're also very close to a bridge strike awareness for plant courses. Lots of lorries are moved around with plant on, and unfortunately people are still hitting bridges, be they railway bridges or motorway bridges. And this course is designed to help those users understand the risks, the consequences of their actions, and to make sure they're thinking about everything they have to do. And that will be useful for both the loaders as well as the drivers and anybody responsible for moving plant around. We've got some really good materials around that. And also we've got UAV training that we're looking at, which is around drones. It's a coming area. It's regulated by CAA, but we also think that this is, because it's quite a new area, there aren't lots of standard training courses for this. So we're looking to develop some standardized training around UAVs, both for operators and for site, to make sure that people are aware of requirements and uses as this type of equipment grows. And I'm not sure. Yeah, we've got, and obviously the classics that you'd expect to see, such as manual handling, asbestos awareness, and many more. So we're looking to work with partners where possible to grow this suite of courses. So what we can provide you with is a full upskilling package for your workforce, for apprentices, and for full-time learners as well. These are all providing skills that they'll need in their work. Next slide, please. Okay. So if you want to become a SITERIGHT centre, we've got a relatively simple process in order to do this. The first thing, as with all courses, qualifications, and any kind of training, the first thing we say is get the course specification. They're on the website, on the SITERIGHT area. That'll tell you whether or not you can meet the criteria and offer the course. I think that's really important to make sure that you do this before you go through the process, and it avoids disappointment. Some courses obviously will require you to complete that train the trainer program. Currently that's around the cut-off saw training and the Leica detection course, but could potentially come up in other areas depending on the needs of the course and the viewpoint of the partners and manufacturers in this area. So next. Following that, there's an online form that you can fill in on the SITERIGHT page, and a member of the team will contact you to fill in the simple form if you're an existing centre. Otherwise, you can speak to your business development advisor and they can talk you through the process. It's key to note here that there's no additional approval charge for any existing NOCN centres for our SITERIGHT courses. And if you've completed and the trainer, or you have the ability to do that, you can sign up and we won't charge you extra for it. You'd then send the form to our onboarding team, who will very quickly check through the application and confirm if desktop approval can be given or a visit is required. In the majority of cases with these courses, as long as you can meet the requirements and things are going well for you from a quality team, then we're likely to give you that desktop approval rather than requiring additional visits. We want to make this process as quick and as smooth as possible for you. And then following that approval, one of the team will contact you to go through any necessary systems training. And I think that's really important. What we want to make sure that you have is all of the systems training to use these courses. We're aware that these fit slightly outside the remit of standard qualifications, and there might be slightly different systems you have to use compared to the ones you use normally. We will give you any of the training that you need. Our colleague will contact you directly to make sure that you had all of the training that you require. So that's SITERIGHT, I believe.
Absolutely, thank you, Chris. So just two little additional things that you might be interested in. I think the first one is due to COVID-19, we have looked at providing more remote invigilation across all of our products within NOCN, as you would imagine. This is a difficult area because remote invigilation, if introduced incorrectly, does open risks and potential abuse by individuals, and so it's an area that we've taken very seriously. We've done a lot of research into, and we've worked quite closely with the regulators such as Ofqual to ensure that what we bring in is robust. I would say that there was a meeting of the awardee organisations yesterday, actually, which went very well, and I'm pleased to say that NOCN is one of the leading organisations in remote invigilation now. So we aren't going to treat all of our qualifications in the same way when it comes to online invigilation. We are going to have a sequenced approach so that we get the right remote invigilation for the product and for the qualification. So, for instance, we've got a couple of courses where there's no invigilation, such as we did produce a COVID-19 course for SITERIGHT just to help the industry and get over that initial issue of training around COVID-19. That was much more about a knowledge, a bit of training, bit of information for individuals. There was very little assessment in it. It was just literally a little test at the end of the course, and therefore we felt that no invigilation was required for that. We are providing centre remote invigilation, where very soon we will be able to allow you to do remote invigilation of our qualifications, our online qualifications, such as the construction ones, the Level 1 Health and Safety in Construction Environment, the SITERIGHT Health and Safety course, the Green Card, and for our functional skills qualifications as well. So that remote invigilation will be launched very soon. Will allow either one-to-one remote invigilation by you on individuals in their own homes or in an office, in a working environment. And once an invigilator is competent at using the system and is good at remotely invigilation, they will be able to do up to 3 people concurrently. And that's either starting them off all at the same time and watching 3 individuals do their assessment, or starting one and then 15 minutes later starting a second one, and then 15 minutes later starting a third one. So there will be that capacity for you to provide a decent amount of volume remote invigilation yourselves. And we're also able to provide that functionality ourselves. There's remote invigilation as well, produced retrospectively. So this is where we, again, are very soon going to be able to launch the functionality where an individual can sit one of our assessments while being recorded, and then that recording is kept on our system, and either the centre or ourselves can look at that retrospective recording and then decide whether that individual was conducting the assessment correctly, or as if they have gained unallowed support as part of that assessment. And therefore we can then take a view whether that assessment was conducted correctly or not, and then only then certificate if we are happy with the way that the assessment was conducted. And as I said, we are looking to roll that out to our centres to do themselves, but also we can also provide that retrospective invigilation ourselves as well. And then the fourth way that we are looking at providing remote invigilation is that NOCN has a number of individuals trained in remote invigilation, and we also have a third-party assessment provider who are able to provide remote invigilation services for individuals who need to take assessments remotely. There's a charge of £8.50 for that at the moment, and has been taken up quite widely for the health and safety qualifications that we offer at the moment. So all of those remote invigilation functionality includes things like browser lockdown, so an individual is not able to look at the internet or website while conducting the assessment. It also includes the ability to look at an individual's current location, so that they can't have any notes or any ability to gain an advantage during the assessment while it's being run, and they are also recorded as well. So we've been working with Ofqual and the regulators, and they've been very happy with the direction and the quality of the remote invigilation that we are moving to, including SIA, the security industry regulator. Now going on to an additional support that we can provide. We were approached by a large college to provide a career map for individuals in construction. This was because a lot of the research that has gone on over the last actually couple of years has shown that young individuals don't want to join the construction industry because they think there's just a single job, being a builder. What they don't understand is actually there are some excellent and really, really good career progression possibilities throughout the industry. And they wanted to work with us to demonstrate those to young individuals. So we produced a number of career maps, and I've got two to show you here, one in the construction trades and one in plant. And although the text is quite small, that was because they are meant to be blown up to cover a whole wall and be, absolutely massive kind of room size installations. However, we have provided those digitally to individuals, and they've been very well received, and people say that they are very, very useful. So we are now having those redeveloped so that there's a slightly bigger font, so they're a bit more readable on a digital screen. But essentially, it's a bit like a tube map, so it's diagrammatical. It doesn't reflect any one individual's career. What it does is it shows just a huge capacity for going down different routes in construction, gaining different qualifications, different skills, and the easiest way to do that, I suppose. So we've got a kind of a zoomed in approach here kind of from the start, showing that actually you can start as a labourer. You can start with our new traineeship pathway to construction that Tracy was talking about. You can work through the red cards, the blue cards, through training, and then you can take different career directions depending on what your interests are, what your training is, and what the opportunities are. So we've got that for the construction trades, and we've also got that for plant as well. And as I said, we are getting those modified so that the font is larger, but we can also offer to provide those in very high quality digital. in case anyone wants to use them on their website or print them out. And also, we could also provide additional branding. If an organisation wants to use these with co-branding, we could also add that co-branding, that service to a centre or to an employer if they wanted to. So that now brings us to the end of the presentation. We've got about 15 minutes left where we're very happy to take questions if there are any that haven't been answered in the chat.